Hello, friends. Welcome. I'm Dr. Kim DeRay, and this is Triumphant Stories of Resilience. And this podcast is brought to you by Somalistic. Today, we have stories of resilience. And what happens with this is we have everyday people that have extraordinary stories that inspire us. The place where healing and trauma and sometimes distress can disrupt our lives. And then we get inspired by the human story and the human spirit. So this is a really sacred place, this podcast, in Stories of Resilience. And today I want to welcome Kurt Aungst, who has a story of his own that I think is incredible and just inspires me so much. So welcome, Kurt. Welcome, friends. So sit back, open your hearts, open your ears, and listen to this extraordinary tale. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kim. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
I am so glad you're here. So tell me a little bit about the first and the beginning part of when your life started to change and what that change was, the impact, the trauma, the pieces that happened for you.
Well, it goes back a long ways. I would say, it was probably in middle school days when my back pain really started to increase. And they had checked me out for scoliosis a few times, and it was the wrong test to be doing. So I would say, middle school was things got rough. That's when I started to experience chronic pain for the first time, where it was constant. Um,
And
yeah.
keeping you up at night. And are you in sports at this time too?
Yeah, I was playing a lot of we played roller hockey here in Arizona. There wasn't as many ice rinks back then. And so we played roller hockey, and I wrestled my freshman year as well, but um it was always an issue. Um Sleep was always an issue, and just getting through the day, just being in pain and having to sit through class and still, take in what's going on, and still have a social life, still all of that is, at a young age, that was challenging.
And in the meantime, are you going to doctors and trying to search for this out of the blue chronic pain?
Yeah, they caught the Sherman's kyphosis too late.
And that's what it's called.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
explain what that is.
It was adolescent kyphosis. And it's curvature of the spine. It's the opposite of scoliosis. So it it makes you look like a hunchback, and
Okay.
then you've got a giant sway back as well.
Okay, so scoliosis is the curvature, and this one is
Exactly.
rounding. Okay,
Correct.
because you're a tall person, so
Right.
you're growing at this time, and at the same time curving over.
Right, right.
It
So everyone was like, "Well, he's hunched over. He needs to stand up straight."
and you're trying, but
Right,
your structure can't.
right,
Okay,
exactly.
so then what happens next?
Yeah,
Find that out.
it was tough. They wanted to try and brace me, but I was late. So they put me in a Boston brace my sophomore year of high school.
And a Boston
And a
brace is
Boston brace is it's a full it's a full body brace that is extremely uncomfortable, and it's hard to, they want you to spend like 22 hours a day in it.
which is impossible for a young person.
Right.
And how's that impact your social life at that time? Because looks are such a big piece. How self-conscious were you about this brace?
Right. It was difficult. I luckily I was able to hide mine underneath a lot of my clothes. So I think it would be, like my daughter had the same issue, and hers was, more challenging, can't hide it as well. Um, it was difficult, because at that time they were also treating me with narcotics, and that, leads to its own set of issues.
Mhm. Yeah. And did you know at the time that it was leading to those set of issues?
No, I didn't. It was it was really the only thing that they knew to do, to treat the pain to where I could get through school,
Okay. So when is there the answer through surgery?
It got progressively worse. And I ended up, they decided that it was time to operate when I was 20 years old. And I believe it was somewhere around like 82 to 86% curvature of the spine. Normal is nowhere near that. So it was definitely time. And yeah, that first surgery, they fused 13 vertebrae.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
at 20.
At 20. And then there's recovery time. So how long was that?
It was a long recovery. Honest to where I felt like I was back to myself again, it was a full year.
Okay, that's a long time for a young person. And in the meantime, you're in music? Yes? Are you do
Yeah, I had actually had to come home. I was in music school over in California. I had to come home for that surgery. And that was the end of that schooling program.
So it really impacted your life in a whole bunch of ways, this medical issue. And then surgery is not fun. And then you're trying to live your life. And and is there a place of are you always optimistic? Is there a place of hopelessness? Is there what's keeping you going?
It was really a lot of up and downs
Mhm.
for a lot of years. I didn't have the right tools and resources to handle the chronic pain. Um, so definitely leaned into substance issues,
Mhm.
and that took me down lots of other paths.
Mhm.
Um, but it's been a long journey of discovering myself and learning that, is that the path I want to take? It's my choice. Um, and I've come a long way from that. I've been in treatment twice. But I think for me the big growth was really committing and wanting to change.
Okay, so the utilizing the chronic pain, the surgery, the substances as a growth point, where did you get to the part where you said, "I have a choice. I'm empowering myself with a choice." Was there a time, or is this just growing over time that you decide, "I wanna live my life this way"?
Yeah. Well, exactly. So in 2023, my back got really bad again. Um, I ended up in the emergency room in May, and within 48 hours, they had to remove all the old hardware, 18 years worth of hardware, and refuse my spine.
Yeah,
So 14 levels of fusion.
tell us how long that surgery took.
I I think it was around 8 or 9 hours,
That's a long one.
and then a couple hours to close me back up. So
Mhm.
it was long, and brutal. It was, another 3 weeks um, of being in the hospital right after that, and it was rough.
So, what taught you from the other surgery and chronic pain to deal with, because now you're older, to deal with this new set of circumstances? And I don't know if you would call it trauma. Would you call that trauma? It seems like it's
I
medical trauma.
Yeah, I look at it definitely at least as a physical trauma to
Mhm.
the body. I do believe that the body holds that kind of,
Yes.
I believe in that. So, it, after the second surgery, it was really rough. I had a really hard time dealing with the chronic pain. I was grateful that I could walk because they were afraid that I was going to lose that ability.
That's why the
And
emergency.
that's why they had to do it real fast. Yeah. Uh, I was in such a bad place that I knew that I had a couple of different paths. I could go back to what I've always done in the past, or I could really go inward. And I've spent about a year and a half doing that. It's been consistent work. I see two different therapists. I'm in therapy twice a week. And there are many days when I get home from work and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is sit down and have this talk right now. But I do it. I'm committed. I'm committed to my growth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's inspiring. Yes. And to share with people, you're working full time. You have a family, 2 daughters. So it's not like this can be the only thing that you do. You're in you're doing everyday things,
Right.
driving the girls to dance, sitting down watching 5 different performances. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, you're living life the best you
Yeah.
can.
And it's not easy. There are still days. I mean, this past week, there were days when I would be getting up for work and I couldn't, it takes me about a half hour to be able to stand up straight.
Oh,
Uh, I got to spend extra time in the shower. I've got to spend time, watching what I'm eating for inflammation. There's a lot of extra work that goes into it, but I'm reaching a point where I'm looking at all of that differently now. And I'm just becoming very present with um, taking care of myself.
nice.
Yeah.
And you're worth it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
I think that I am.
Yes. And did you always have that you were worth it, or is this part of your growth?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I think chronic pain can be very isolating for people who are in it. And even though you can have all the support around you, the other people in your life that are not experiencing it day to day, there's still an isolation there. And that's where that inner strength really has to come out.
And do you feel lonely in that place where people who don't have chronic pain wouldn't understand, or is it a loneliness, or
At times,
okay.
it can be, um, and at times I'm still angry that I'm hurting, that I can't control it better. I feel all of that stuff still. It's just I'm not living in those places anymore.
Well, tell us that process. So when that you're given something you didn't want, for sure,
Right.
and then the anger, what do you do with that anger? Because some people don't know what to do with that. It's such a charge of energy. What do you do with it?
Breathe.
Okay. You've learned some skills along the way.
I have.
Mm.
And it doesn't always work, but I think the biggest thing is not judging the emotion,
Ah, good.
because that's where I think we get screwy in our heads. It's like, well, I shouldn't be angry. I'm supposed to be over this by now. So no,
No.
your back hurts and you're angry. That's a valid emotion. Feel it.
Yeah, I like how you just brought it up. Yeah, I feel angry. It's a normal part of this healing piece,
Right.
right?
Right.
That you normalized it.
Yeah. I think finding a way to lower the resistance around the meaning you're giving it has helped me.
Yes, it seems like the wisdom. So so how have you created meaning? Is it that you are intentional that this means something to you, or just it came through the healing? What happened in that process of I want to do it a different way, and this is meaningful work to do it.
It's been a long process, and it has been ugly and hard. Um it's not been a quick fix. It still is just barely, becoming what I think it can become. I had a lot of moments in the past where I had felt kind of like a science experiment gone wrong.
Mm,
And I felt betrayed by a lot of doctors at certain times.
yes.
A lot of them were quick to cut me open, and then when there were still issues, they didn't really want to, I mean, and I'm not, um, this was my own path and experience, and I believe doctors are good people. It's nothing against them. Like,
Yes, I don't hear that.
yeah.
Yes.
But feeling so rigid in this body and not being in a wheelchair, so people see me as walking and being normal, but my back's killing me all the time. I can't move with my kids like I want to. I can't do the things I want to do. All of that can absolutely just destroy me if I let it.
If you let it. Yes. And so you're not letting it. And that's another piece too, is you're not letting it. And when people can't see it, because you look great, is that a problem? Is that an issue for you? Or do people not need to know what you go through?
It used to be an issue for me. But I think as I did more, like I said, I've just really done a deep dive of inner work over the past year or two. And I think a lot of that was ego. Like, I need someone to see the pain that I'm in,
Yes. To validate
to
it.
validate it.
Hmm.
And I think some of that is real and probably needed too. But I'm just looking at things in such a different perspective now, a more macro level that I don't know. It feels like it's a personal journey for me, and it's my pain to experience, and my pain to grow through.
I so appreciate you sharing this with everyone because it's really vulnerable of you. And even to share that even now there's ugly times and then there's meaning in that too. So I don't know if the relationship with yourself is amazing that you've gotten to this point where there's a real acceptance of who you are and your emotions that you feel. How has it impacted your relationships with your wife, your kids an emotional way or a being present way?
I think being present is one of the biggest struggles with chronic pain in particular.
Mhm.
It's very easy to check out and when you're in pain and be there physically, but mentally you're just kind of in another world. And I would catch myself doing that with my family a lot, especially during the first year after recovery of the last surgery. It was when the pain was just brutal, just day after day. But once again, it's something that I've been working on, where I'm getting to a place where I'm trying to be able to be present with the pain there and not allow it to transfer into suffering in those moments. Sometimes I have pretty good days with that, and sometimes I lose that battle. But that's the other big thing for me, was distinguishing the two And for a long time without the tools, I didn't think it was possible. But there is a way to separate pain from suffering.
Well, you're a living example of that. And I know it's not easy and you have
Yeah.
to keep reworking it. What would you tell your younger self, but living a life that's meaningful and purposeful for what you're doing in healing, but also your daily life of it, doing you're doing an extraordinary job in your job. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but you're at a high level and worked yourself up to that and running of being the head of the household. What would you tell your younger self that felt hopeless? Or even maybe what you tell yourself now when you feel hopeless to encourage yourself that there's a place that's growth wise and meaningful and hopeful.
I think for my younger self, the biggest thing would be to just keep focused on the foundational things. My body hurts 9 times out of 10, but I'm making the decision now to move it every day. Whether it's hurting or not, I do it because that's part of what needs to be done. It's very basic things, but they're building blocks, whatever that looks like to you for moving your body, getting enough sleep, your nutrition, water intake. They're foundational things, but people always want to kind of push those to the side.
They seem almost too simple.
They do seem too simple.
But it's
Yes.
like you said, it's the basis.
Right.
It's the foundation.
Right. And every time I feel like I'm starting to really kind of go off the guardrails emotionally or physically, because they're combined.
They are combined. Yeah.
I notice that if I can, refocus on some of those foundational things for a few days, it gets me back on track. It regrounds me.
Yeah, it's so well said. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming and sharing your story of triumph, and you're still triumphing. I mean, this is a story that's ongoing of your resilience and that you're like the rest of us, and then you're doing this extraordinary thing. And so I hope people will get something from this in the inspiration that Kurt has shared and his vulnerability. So thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yeah, just so
Thank you for
honored.
having me.
Yeah.
I'm honored as well. Thank you.
Yes. In this place of these are the stories of people. They're right next to us. They're working next to us, but we don't know what they've gone through. And they're sacred stories and a journey that is a lifetime journey. This is Kurt's personal journey. That's why I love that he came to share it with us all, because it's so personal. It means so much. And I feel like when we share these things and what we go through, then we know we're not alone in our journey. We have people that understand and can empathize. Even though we don't know their story, this is a chance to open our hearts that the person next to you and on the bus, the person next to you at work, the person next to you at a baseball game has a story too, and you have one too. And there's hope and inspiration. I feel like I got some today in the places where you're so authentic about, yeah, we get angry, but not to judge it, or we don't feel good each day, but our self-care is our foundation, and we need to get back to that, and to understand being present is something to work on, so that we can at least grasp connection with other people that are in our lives as well, and it's an ongoing process. Yes, and so. Thank you. Thank you, Somalistic, for supporting us. And I want you to stay tuned. So please subscribe, because our next guest is going to come and tell us her honorable and triumphant story of from depression, not being able to get out of bed, to exercise, that self-care piece that and I don't even know where she got the spark to do what she did, but she'll come and share that with you. So stay tuned, keep your hearts open, use this inspiration in your own life, and then we want to make sure that you visit us again. So subscribe. You're our friends now. We're building a whole community of triumphant stories. Thank you.